Joining us now to discuss this and more is Brian Doherty, senior editor of Reason Magazine. He's also the author of the book you see there on your screen, Gun Control on Trial. Brian, welcome to the show. It's interesting. Last election, there seemed to be this sense of hope and change. That was President Obama's slogan back then. But, now many people are disenchanted with the way things have actually played out. Why haven't the main candidates been able to garner this kind of response?
I think the American people are kind of weird about major party politics. They recognize, as you just said, that Obama didn't deliver what they wanted out of him. Even many Republicans sense that Mitt Romney isn't going to deliver what they want out of him. And yet they also are strangely afraid of ever grasping for any other options. If you poll them generically, you can get well over 50% of Americans to say they want an independent choice. They want a third-party choice, but they never actually seem to vote for them. However, this year, I think we have a better playing field for third parties to work in than ever before for these reasons we've been talking about. The economy has been in the tank for 4 years. Obama hasn't fixed it. Romney's solutions don't sound to most conservatives, especially, any more exciting than Obama's. It seems like a real Me Too thing. And so there are other options out there. For progressive Democrats, there's the Green Party. For serious conservatives who actually want to see government shrink, there's the Libertarian Party with Gary Johnson. They are out there. They're probably going to be on the ballot in nearly all of the states. We just need to see if Americans put their money where their mouth is on this and vote for them.
And going along with that, we see presidential candidate Ron Paul and the very passionate, loyal following that always sticks by him. You had mentioned Gary Johnson. But they are, of course, the alternative to the mainstream. Do you think that it is time now for a third-party candidate?
Yeah, in my judgment, I come from the libertarian world. It's always been time. And the American people do say that they want it. I would like to think that the economic situation, the political situation is so grim to so many people right now that they will be willing to go third party. But I also want to point out the other option that many Americans take and we don't talk about much, which is the option of not voting at all, which 40 to 50% of Americans do in almost every election year. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that non-voting number grow this year as well, because people just throw up their hands and say, I don't trust any of these politicians to solve the problems I want them to solve.
Certainly, we don't see the kind of passion behind either of these candidates that we've seen in the past. So do you think people are just sick of hearing the same old, divisive, partisan talking points play out, time and time again?
It's funny. I think that to the extent that there is any passion from the Democrats or Republicans, it is strictly a passion of hating the other guy. It's not about, oh, gosh, I love Obama. I think he's going to be great. We've had Obama for 4 years. We already know he's not going to be great. But you can still get the Democratic base to go, God, I hate Mitt Romney. He's rich. He's fired people. He won't show his tax returns. The same for the Republicans. They may not be excited about Romney, but they can go, oh, Barack Obama, he's a socialist or whatever. So that sort of divisiveness is almost the only thing the major parties have. If you actually want interesting ideas and interesting solutions, whether you're a super liberal Democrat or a super conservative Republican, you really should consider looking third parties, because they're the ones with ideas that are both fresh and actually might be effective in a way that I think Obama and Romney on the campaign trail have proven they won't be.
Brian, would you say that the Libertarian Party is a growing party? Obviously with Ron Paul, we see it's almost become, he has this huge young following. Seems like it's becoming cool to become libertarian. Do you only see this as a growing party?
The libertarian ideas are definitely growing, and Ron Paul has been the key to that. But of course, Ron Paul has been running as a Republican. The Republican Party, I think, has not been as welcoming of Ron Paul's libertarian fans as they should. So I think what you're going to see in November is the Ron Paul people, who are almost 15% of the Republican electorate in the primaries, are not going to be voting for Mitt Romney. Many of them are just going to sit it out. They believe it's Ron Paul or no one. But many of them are going to go to the Libertarian Party with Gary Johnson, the former Republican governor of New Mexico, as their standard bearer. And I think November will tell the tale, but I think you will see the Libertarian Party get the best vote result it's had since probably 1980, when it actually got 1.1%. And I think Gary Johnson has the possibility of doing about that good, and maybe even better if he can successfully capture all of those Ron Paul people.
So do you think that this is kind of setting a precedent or an indicator of the way things are going? And, perhaps, well, if we see the influence that the Libertarian Party has this time around, that, in 2016, that maybe they could really pull it off.
Yeah, Americans I don't think are ever going to vote for a third party in numbers enough to actually put that third party candidate in office. The way third party candidates succeed is by turning the major parties in their direction. And I think if Romney either loses, which he very well might, or wins and is as terrible on actually limiting government as the Libertarians think he will be, that will leave an opening within the Republican Party for another Ron Paul-like figure, very possibly his own son, Senator Rand Paul, to take that libertarian energy into the Republican Party and win with it. But the Libertarian Party still has to be there to sort of keep the Republican Party honest, even if they can't win, by reminding them, hey, if you fail to satisfy the libertarian wing of your party, they can come to us, and they will come to us, and you will lose.
And, despite the not popularity or the lack of popularity, I guess, among both of the candidates, what they do have behind them is money, a lot of money. And this is the election of record-breaking campaign spending. We're seeing the aftermath, of Citizens United allowing corporations to pump unlimited spending into campaigns. We see a graph there, a lot of money pumped into 2008, and that's just expected to rise, and that's not even taking into account a lot of money that's being pumped in from independent organizations, post Citizens United. So, Brian, how is that playing into everything?
I've never been one to think that the American voter is sort of hypnotized by ads. When you talk about money in politics, all you're talking about is money spent to spread a message. But the message has to sink into someone's mind and influence their vote. And if you actually look at the correlation of money spent in voting, money does not guarantee winning an election. All that matters is that the ideas get out there, and especially in the internet age, you don't need a $27 million ad buy to get your message across. And the American people are going to vote for what they believe in, not just for what they're told to by money being spent.
All right, well, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Hopefully it gets more exciting, because apparently Americans are finding it thus far boring, the words that this poll used. Brian, thanks so much for coming on the show. That was Brian Doherty, senior editor of Reason Magazine.